which to hang a kettle. Before a large cabin, a fur trader was exhibiting his wares to 3 Indians. A second redskin was carrying a pack of pelts from a canoe drawn up on the riverbank. A small group of persons stood near. Some were indifferent, and others gazed curiously at the savage. 2 children peeped from behind their mother's skirts as if half curious, half frightened. From this scene, the significance of which had just dawned on him, Joe turned his eyes again to his companion. It was a sweet face he saw, one that was sedate, but had a promise of innumerable smiles. The blue eyes could not long hide flashes of merriment. The girl turned, and the 2 young people looked at each other. Her eyes softened with a woman's gentleness as they rested upon him, for, broad of shoulder and lithe and strong as a deer-stalker, he was good to look at. "Listen," she said, "we've known each other only 3 weeks. Since you joined our wagon train and have been so kind to me and so helpful to make that long, rough ride endurable, you have won my regard. I cannot say more, even if I would. You told me you ran away from your Virginian home to seek adventure on the frontier, and that you knew no one in all this wild country. You even said you could not or would not work at farming. Perhaps my sister and I are as unfitted as you for this life, but we must cling to our uncle because he's the only relative we have. He's come out to join the Moravians and to preach the gospel to these Indians. We shall share his life and help him all we can. You've been telling me you cared for me, and now that we are about to part, I don't know what to say to you, unless it is, give up this intention of yours to seek adventure and come with us. It seems to me you need not hunt for excitement here. It will come unsought." "I wish I were Jim," he said suddenly. "Who's Jim?" "My brother." "Tell me of him." "Well, there's not much to tell. He and I are all there are left of our people, as are you and Kate of yours. Jim's a preacher and the best fellow. Oh, I cared a lot for Jim." "Then why did you leave him?" "I was tired of Williamsburg. I quarreled with a fellow and hurt him. Besides, I wanted to see the West. I'd like to hunt deer and bear and fight Indians. Oh, I'm not much good." "Was Jim the only one you cared for?" asked Nell, smiling. She was surprised to find him grave. "Yes, except my horse and dog, and I had to leave them behind," answered Joe, bowing his head a little. "You'd like to be Jim because he's a preacher, and could help Uncle convert the Indians?" "Yes, partly that, but mostly because, somehow, something you've said or done has made me care for you in a different way, and I'd like to be worthy of you." "I don't think I can believe it when you say you are no good," she replied. "Nell," he cried, and suddenly grasped her hand. She wrenched herself free and leaped away from him. Her face was bright now, and the promise of smiles was made good. "Behave yourself, sir." She tossed her head with a familiar backward motion to throw the chestnut hair from her face, and looked at him with eyes veiled slightly under their lashes. "You will go with Kate and me?" Before he could answer, a cry from someone on the plain below attracted their attention. They turned and saw another wagon train pulling into the settlement. The children were shouting and running alongside the weary oxen. Men and women went forward expectantly. "That must be the train Uncle expected. Let us go down," said Nell. Joe did not answer, but followed her down the path. When they gained a clump of willows near the cabins, he bent forward and took her hand. She saw the reckless gleam in his eyes. "Don't. They'll see," she whispered. "If that's the only reason you have, I reckon I don't care," said Joe. "What do you mean? I didn't